Hi, and welcome to Mix It Up, making great cocktails at home. I'm Tony Abouganim, the modern mixologist, and you're about to venture into the wonderful world of mixology. You're going to learn everything you need to know to stock your home bar, from which spirits to buy, to glassware, fresh juices, garnishes, bar tools, and how to use them. You're going to learn over 20 classic and original cocktail recipes. So the next time a friend or a relative stops by, you can greet them with a martini, a classic sidecar, or maybe even one of your own original creations. Now remember, when enjoying adult beverages, like everything in life, moderation is the key. I like to say, enjoying a fine cocktail, it's about the journey, not the destination. So enjoy responsibly. One of the secrets to making great cocktails at home is knowing the right bar tools to stock your home bar with. I've got a selection of tools here that are going to make your job a lot easier. Now, if you're going to buy only one tool, it's got to be the Boston Shaker set. Now, this consists of a 16-ounce mixing glass with a 24 to 27-ounce mixing tin. Now, if we're going to shake a drink that contains syrup, juice, or eggs, we put the ingredients without ice into the mixing glass. The ice goes into the mixing tin. We then transfer the drink into the tin, and we make a seal by hitting the bottom of the glass with the palm of our hand. We always want to shake this tin forward, just in case you do have a leaky seal. It's going to go over your shoulder, not in your guest's face. Now, to break that seal, we simply hold the shaker with 2 fingers on the glass, 2 fingers on the tin, and on the concave of the glass, we hit the tin with the palm of our other hand, break the seal, let the contents drip back into the tin, and this is where we utilize our Hawthorne strainer. Our Hawthorne strainer is a strainer that has this spring on it. You notice the spring fits beautifully into the tin. Now, if the drink consists of spirit only, such as a Manhattan, we want to chill it through stirring. The drink is built over ice in the mixing glass, and we utilize our twisted bar spoon. Stir the drink 20 times to the right and 20 times to the left. And we utilize the julep strainer. Now, the julep strainer is a strainer without the spring that has a concave that fits perfectly into the mixing glass. Now, if you're a martini fan like I am and you like them shaken, not stirred, you'll want to invest in a cobbler or 3-piece shaker. The 3-piece shaker, the body, the top, and the lid with the built-in strainer. And we prepare the martini over ice in the body, put the top with the lid on, shake. Ah, how swank is that? Strain it into our chilled cocktail glass. Simply elegant. Now, I always recommend that we measure our ingredients. And to do that, you'll want to invest in a jigger. Now, a jigger refers to the top piece, which is 1.5 ounces, and the bottom or smaller piece being a pony, which measures 1 ounce. As you can see, they come in an array of different sizes and shapes, but it's important to use your jigger. Now, this tool is called a muddler. Muddling is a wonderful way to infuse flavor into a drink like a mojito or a julep. The way it works is the fruits, the herbs, the spices go into a double old-fashioned glass, and using our muddler, we crush and extract that flavor from the fruits and the herbs, mix it with the juices and sugars, let everything, get acquainted. Now, you want to pick out a muddler that is hardwood, like cherry, that hasn't been lacquered or stained. Treat it with care. Don't put it in the dishwasher, no harsh detergents. Every once in a while, give it a coat of food-grade mineral oil, and you'll get years and years of use out of your muddler. Now, I like everything fresh, and one tool that you should have for making frozen drinks, such as daiquiris or Piña Coladas, is a good blender. Blenders are also wonderful for making fresh fruit purees. And speaking of fresh, I'm a big fan of fresh juices. So a crank juicer such as this one will be wonderful for making fresh lemon juice, orange juice, or grapefruit juice. But for fresh squeezed lime juice, I like to hand extract it with one of these handy dandy lime squeezers. And make sure you have a great set of knives. I always recommend at least 3. A chef's knife, a paring knife, and then something with a serrated edge. And here's a little hint. Buy a dedicated cutting board. You don't want to cut lemon wedges on the same cutting board you just crushed garlic on. Ugh. Tongs. I always recommend 2 pairs of tongs. These tongs are used for garnishes, such as olives or maraschino cherries, or if you're a Gibson lover, pearl onions. And the largest set of tongs for ice cubes. And speaking of ice, a lot of drinks are going to call for crushed ice. And if your refrigerator doesn't have a machine to make crushed ice, you'll want to invest in a Lewis bag. Now, a Lewis bag is a canvas bag, and we put our ice cubes inside, grab our muddler, and we just get the frustrations of the day out, and we have crushed dry ice because the canvas is going to absorb the water from crushing the ice. This is a great tool. I love fresh grated nutmeg. So if you're making brandy Alexanders or eggnog for the holidays, you want to get a good plane. Get a whole nutmeg and just use your microplane to grate it fresh over the drink. Now this is just a selection of some of the more common bar tools available. And you don't have to spend a lot of money on bar tools, but like I always say, for a nickel more, you go first class. And with these bar tools and a little practice, you'll soon be on your way to making the best drinks in the neighborhood. I cannot stress enough the importance the garnish plays in a well-made cocktail. Sure, it needs to look great because we do taste the drink with all our senses, but it's also an ingredient in the drink itself, and it should be chosen to complement the other ingredients in the drink. Now, perhaps the most common garnish of all is a simple wedge, but I'm going to show you a few tricks here, a couple of tips that's going to make preparing garnishes at home a lot easier. Now, pick out a lemon or an orange, and what we want to do first is we want to just trim the nubs off the end of the fruit. Now, the next thing we do is cut the fruit in half across the equator, top to bottom. Once we have that, we place it face down on the cutting board and cut it into 6. And here's a little tip for you. You know those pesky seeds in a lemon? You don't want those in your drinks. So, very simple. Take a sharp knife and cut across the seed pocket on an angle and just remove those seeds, and you have a beautiful, clean garnish. All right, we talked in the tool section about muddling, and one of my favorite drinks to muddle is a Caipirinha. Now, the Caipirinha is a Brazilian drink, and it's muddled with lime. Now, when you get a lime, you don't want to just grab a lime. Pick out a good lime, one that has a nice green color, that's soft and pliable. And a tip, don't ever store your citrus fruit in the refrigerator. Remember, cold fruit is stingy fruit. The first thing we do, again, is to remove the nubs off each end. And instead of cutting it across the equator, we're going to cut it across the middle of the fruit. Then we place both sides face down on our cutting board, and we just cut that into quarters. And there you have beautiful quarters that are wonderful for muddling. Another way to cut citrus fruit is into slices. Here we're just going to, once again, cut the fruit across the equator, place it face down, cut off the end and discard that, and then cut it into 1/4 inch slices. And you can do this with a lemon, with an orange, or with a lime. Beautiful. Now, another garnish you're going to want to really conquer is the twist. And there's several ways, again, of preparing twists. One of my favorite drinks is the Negroni. And the Negroni calls for a burnt orange twist. And what we want to do is we want to take a sharp knife, and we just want to pick a navel orange, one that has a nice thick skin. And with a sharp knife, cutting away from you, we're going to cut discs in about the size of a 50-cent piece. Now be careful just to get as much as the rind with very little pith and none of the fruit, because what we're after are the oils. Now the oils are flammable. So over a lit match, over our drink, we just, craving a Negroni right now. Another way to prepare spirals is to pick out a navel orange. This is a small navel orange. The key is to use navel oranges for garnish and Valencia oranges for juice. Now to prepare these spirals, we're gonna cut a little deeper in this time so that the fruit is actually showing. And as we mentioned, the white part, the pith, is where we wanna put our citrus peeler. Now if you don't have a citrus peeler, you could use an ice pick, you could use the bottom of a bar spoon, a back of a spoon, but these are really nice because the tool is concaved so it fits perfectly around the shape of the fruit. And we start it off about 1/4 inch in, and we gradually work it around the fruit. And if you notice, I'm turning the orange and not moving the tool. The tool stays stationary. When we get about halfway through, we flip the fruit over, and we do the same thing until I can feel the fruit let go from the rind. Take our sharp knife, cut the fruit, remove that. We roll up the rind, place some type of a cocktail spear to hold it together. I trim the end, and then we have beautiful orange or lemon spirals that we want to twist over the glass, because remember, we're after those beautiful oils. Now there's another way to prepare spirals, and for that we need to use our citrus stripper. Now this tool takes a little bit of practice, but what we want to do with this is just clip the end, and the blade of the stripper is going to follow the contour of the fruit, and with a little practice, be it a lemon, be it an orange, you should be able to work the tool from the top to the bottom in one continuous motion. And then, once again, the beautiful oils are what we're after. And we want to release those into our drink. So there's a couple ways to make citrus spirals. Some of the other simple garnishes you'll want to keep stocked at home consist of maraschino cherries for your Manhattan drinkers. You want to store it in their syrup and keep it refrigerated. And I love Gibsons. So we're going to need some pearl cocktail onions. Pick a good size onion, keep it in the brine, and keep it refrigerated so it's nice and crunchy when you bite into it. And then for our martini friends, Spanish olives. These are good sized Spanish olives with pimentos. Store them in the brine, in the refrigerator, and here's a trick for you. If you want to have some fun with your garnishes, take out the pimento in your Spanish olives and stuff it with blue cheese or roasted garlic, maybe an anchovy or some type of nut. So there you have it. Some real simple tips on making some beautiful garnishes that are guaranteed to make your drink stand out. As most mixologists would probably agree, the #1 eye-opener has got to be the Bloody Mary. Now, this quintessential hair of the dog was rumored to be first mixed at Harry's New York bar in Paris, 1921. And at the heart of a Bloody Mary lies vodka. And to really enjoy vodka, we gotta better understand what vodka is made from. Vodka, the #1 consumed spirit in the United States, can be made from virtually any fermentable sugar, such as rye, wheat, barley, corn, potatoes, even grapes. If I were to ask 100 bartenders how they make a Bloody Mary, well, I'd probably get about 100 different recipes. So I'm gonna make it for you the way Pete first did at Harry's bar in 1921. What we're gonna start with is a high-quality tomato juice. We're gonna add about 4 to 5 ounces to our mixing glass. Next, we need to season that. We're gonna season it with some fresh grated black pepper, a pinch of kosher salt. We'll spice it up with some Tabasco, about 4 dashes, 5, and a little Liam Perrin's Worcestershire. About 4 dashes of that as well. And finally, we need to add some acid, and we're gonna use some fresh lemon juice. Lemon juice works so well with tomato. So about 1/4 of a lemon's gonna go right in there. And finally, our vodka. We just add a jigger, which we know is 1.5 ounces. Next, I'm going to teach you a new technique for mixing drinks called rolling. And rolling is it's a gentler way to mix the drink so that we don't emulsify the tomato juice. So if I was making a Bellini or anything with a carbonated beverage, rolling it would be the way to mix it. And rolling it simply means we roll the drink between the mixing glass and the mixing tin. And as always, when we pour, we want to pour from the mixing tin. Now, here's a little tip. Whenever you're serving a drink long, meaning over ice, you always want to use fresh ice. Don't serve the drink with the same ice that you mixed the drink with. It's already broken down and started to dilute the drink. Next, we always pour from our mixing tin using our Hawthorne strainer, which again fits beautifully over the mixing tin. Oh, strain that over fresh ice. Beautiful. Garnish it simply with a slice of lemon, and I like to mix it up just a little bit and put a spear of pickle in my Bloody Marys. And there you have the classic Bloody Mary. But hey, have some fun. Mix it up. Experiment with different types of tomatoes, basil, dill, garlic, red bell peppers, onions. If you really want to get creative, try infusing your own vodka. I've infused vodka here with different chilies and peppers. I let it sit for 4 or 5 days, and it has a really spicy note to my Bloody Marys. But for me, when I'm having brunch, I'll take mine just like this. A coffee cocktail is a perfect ending to a great meal or a wonderful way to warm up after a cold San Francisco cable car ride. Now, you could pair a coffee cocktail with a great dessert like, say, chocolate cake or an apple tart, or it can stand alone as a liquid dessert. But my favorite pairing is corned beef hash with poached eggs and Irish coffees. And the Irish coffee is the godfather of all coffee cocktails. It was created in Ireland at the Shannon Airport by a bartender by the name of Joe Sheridan. It came to the United States by way of the Buena Vista Cafe in San Francisco in 1953. Now, to make an Irish coffee, the first thing you need is the right vessel. This is the classic Irish coffee glass, and it's perfect because it's just the right size and shape to make a consistent drink. Now, you want to heat the glass first, and that's a little hint. Hot drink, hot glass. All right, now once our glass is properly heated, we're going to need to sweeten the drink. I'm going to use a couple of raw white sugar cubes. Next, we add our coffee. And here you want to use a rich, full-bodied coffee. I'm using a French roast, which is going to really stand up to the Irish whiskey. And Irish whiskey it has to be. Because to make an Irish coffee, that is the whiskey of choice. And Irish whiskey differentiates itself from, say, Scottish whiskey by the fact that when they malt their barley, they malt it over a closed fire, unlike in Scotland where they malt over an open fire, so you get that real smoky character. So we add a jigger of Irish whiskey. Now a jigger measures out to 1.5 ounces. You see how that just comes up perfectly on the glass. Next we top it with whipped cream. And whatever you do, do not go to the store and buy one of those canisters of whipped cream at the grocery. You want to use fresh whipped cream. Get some heavy cream and whip it fresh. And get it just the right consistency so it's going to float on top of that beautiful Irish coffee. And we put a nice dollop right on top. Oh, look at how beautiful that is. And the real magic happens when the hot coffee works its way through the cold cream. Wonderful. So once you've mastered the Irish coffee, you can move on to other classics like the Mexican coffee, the Jamaican coffee, and the ever-tricky Spanish coffee. Or what I like to do is I like to come up with my own coffee drink recipes. And that's what we've done here. This is a drink I call coffee and cream. Coffee and cream, since I'm using a cream liqueur, 1 pony, and a coffee liqueur, also 1 pony. And a pony measures out to 1 ounce. Top that with our French roast. Oh, it smells wonderful. A little bit of our fresh whipped cream. And to tie in the aromatics of this drink, I'm gonna use a little freshly grated nutmeg. Again, if you've got that canister of ground nutmeg in your spice cabinet left over from last holiday season when you made eggnog, throw it away, the stuff is stale, buy some whole nutmeg and a grater, and just grate it on top of the drink. Such a wonderful smell, and it just adds that spicy note to the drink. Beautiful. And there you have a classic Irish coffee and one of my originals, the coffee and cream. As a motorcycle enthusiast myself, this is one of my favorite cocktails. At least the stories surrounding its origins are one of my favorites. Legend has it was first mixed by Harry McLachlan at Harry's New York bar in Paris for a military captain who would come in the sidecar of a motorcycle. And at the heart of it is cognac. Now, cognac, made in the Cognac region of France, is the ultimate brandy. Any of these cognacs would be wonderful in a sidecar. So let's make one. What do you say? The first thing we need to make is our fresh lemon sour. The original recipe called for just lemon juice, but I like to sweeten the lemon juice just a little bit. To make it, we simply mix 2 parts fresh squeezed filtered lemon juice to 1 part simple syrup. And remember, to make simple syrup, it's simply equal parts sugar and water. All right, now we're gonna build this in our Boston shaker. Now remember, the Boston shaker is the most important piece of bar equipment you need to buy for your home bar. It consists of a 16-ounce mixing glass and a 26-ounce mixing tin. They work together. We'll assemble the drink in the mixing glass. We always want to start with our sweet and sour elements first. So we have 2 ounces of fresh lemon sour. We add our modifying spirit, which is Cointreau. 1 ounce of Cointreau, and our cognac. And we'll add 2 ounces of cognac. Now, before I shake this up, I need to prepare the glass. We're using a beautiful champagne coupe for this drink. Now, what we're going to do with this is frost the glass with superfine sugar. First thing we need to do is apply fresh lemon juice, about a ½ an inch down the lip of the glass, and then roll that in superfine sugar. And again, you always want to use superfine sugar, as superfine sugar will adhere better to the glass. Okay. Now the ice goes into the mixing tin. Now to use your Boston shaker, the drink is poured into the tin, the glass is secured at a slight angle. With the palm of our hand, we make that seal. If we've made it properly, the shaker will not come apart. Now we always want to shake tin forward, so if it does leak, it leaks over our shoulder, and off to the side. Oh. And really shake the shaker hard. Now to break the seal, 2 fingers on the glass, 2 fingers on the tin, and just on the curve, we hit on the side of the tin with the palm of our hand, comes right apart. And we use the Hawthorne strainer, the strainer with the spring, which fits perfectly in the mixing tin. Beautiful. Garnish that with our spiral of orange. And there you have a wonderful cocktail that's guaranteed to take the chill off of any cold night. As everything Latino continues to grow in popularity, this next drink is no exception. It's called the Caipirinha, and it's the national drink of Brazil. And it's fashioned from cachaça. Cachaça is a unique spirit. It's distilled from sugarcane juice, unlike rum, which mainly is made from molasses. Now, to make a Caipirinha, you need to pick out the right lime. You want to pick out a small one that's nice, soft, pliable, and has a good green color. And the way we're going to cut this is right down the middle, and we're gonna cut it into quarters. Now, the reason for that is we're gonna prepare the drink in our Boston shaker, and we're gonna muddle the limes to release the oil and the juice. And by cutting it into quarters, it's gonna make it easier for our muddler to get into the corner of the glass. Next comes the sugar, and I'm gonna use some Demerara sugar, which is gonna give it a real robust richness. We take our trusty muddler, and we really want to get in there and get all that juice released. Get some of those beautiful oils from the rind. You want to get a muddler that has a nice body to it so that the muddler itself is doing all the work. Look how beautiful that is. All right, next comes the ice. Now, this is the one drink that we're going to actually use the same ice that we make the drink to serve the drink, because we want to have all those beautiful limes in there as garnish. So a little tip for you. By filling up the glass you're going to serve the drink in with ice, you'll get not only the right amount of ice for the drink, but you'll also chill the glass. And finally, our cachaça. A nice 2-ounce pour of cachaça. Beautiful. Oh, it's going to be great. Into the Boston. And then we dump the entire drink right into the glass. And there you have the Brazilian classic, Caipirinha. Now, if you don't have a Boston shaker, you can also prepare this or build this drink right in the glass. And the great thing about the Caipirinha is it lends itself to such great fruit combinations. You can really mix it up and have some fun with this drink, utilizing berries or kumquats or grapes, which we're gonna do with a drink that is called a Caipirinha de uva. So I've taken about, 6 or 8 red and 6 or 8 green grapes and sliced those. Then we're gonna add our lime. Since we won't be shaking it, I'm gonna add some simple syrup. Remember our ratio, 1 ounce of syrup to 1 ounce of juice. And we'll just muddle that right in the glass. Get all the juice from those beautiful grapes, express the oils from the rind of the limes. That's coming together real nice. Okay. Now for ice in a Caipirinha, you always want to use cracked ice. Not big cubes, not crushed, but cracked ice. Right into the glass. We add our cachaça. Give it a quick stir with the bar spoon to get all those flavors together. And there you have the Caipirinha de Uva. Salud. The granddaddy of all blender drinks, the Piña Colada. So what does it mean? It's simply Spanish for strained pineapple. We're gonna start with a complex rum. A complex rum brings flavors of banana and cocoa, vanilla and butterscotch to the party. And we're gonna finish the drink with a really rich, full-bodied rum that is gonna add those complex, deep flavors. Dark chocolate, cocoa again, and even more vanilla. So it's gonna be a beautiful balance of flavor with a nice coconut zing in there. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're going to add our liquid ingredients to the blenders. You always wanna put the liquids in first. So we've got our cream of coconut. Then we add half and half. Yeah, I never said it was low cal. And then we have our pineapple juice. And our complex rum. And just to get a little more of that island flavor, a couple of chunks of fresh pineapple. Now we add our ice last. And here it's very important to use cracked ice, not cubed ice. It's gonna give you a better consistency and it's a lot easier on your blender blades. Put the lid on. I would definitely recommend investing in a good bar blender. It's perfect for making frozen drinks poolside. It's also great for making fresh fruit purees. All right, we strain that right into our nice 14-ounce goblet. All right, the next thing we're gonna do is just cut a simple garnish. This is a pineapple spear. Just want to get a nice long spear. Put a little cut on the outside of the spear because we want most of our pineapple to actually be in the drink. And the final step is to float a little heavy, full-bodied rum right on top. Oh. Pull up a lawn chair, sit back, and watch the day turn into night. Classic cocktails are considered classics because they've stood the test of time. In cocktail years, this next drink is a new kid on the block, but I feel it's destined to become a classic. It's called the Cosmopolitan, and it's a relatively simple yet fun drink. And at the base of the Cosmopolitan is citrus vodka. Now, not all citrus vodkas are created the same. They can be made from any different type of citrus fruits, from lemon to lime, mandarin, grapefruit, or a combination of these fruits. The fun thing is to experiment with different citrus vodkas and find the ones that work best for you. All right, now to make a Cosmopolitan, the first thing we want to do is start with fresh squeezed lime juice. So we're going to use our handy-dandy lime squeezer. Now remember, we want to pick out those soft, pliable limes that have a nice green color. And we're going to squeeze a half a lime right into the mixing glass. Not only does that give us the freshest possible juice, but releases all those beautiful oils from the rind. Next comes the tart factor. The tartness is gonna come from cranberry juice. We wanna use a half an ounce of cranberry juice. Remember, a Cosmopolitan should be pink, not red. All right, we're gonna modify this with Cointreau, our orange liqueur. And remember our equation. If our base spirit is 1.5 ounces, our modifying spirit is 3/4. And at the base, our citrus vodka. Fill our mixing tin up with ice. You always want to fill the mixing tin about 2/3 of the way full. Get a lot of contact with the ice and drink. And the drink goes into the tin, make our seal. Oh. To break our seal, it's 2 fingers up, 2 fingers down, and just a quick hit on the side of the tin. Comes right apart. Our chilled cocktail glass. And again, using the Hawthorne strainer. Oh. You see the beautiful pink color? And finally, the garnish. And remember, the garnish is there to look pretty, but it's also an ingredient in the drink. So we want to cut fresh with our stripper a nice spiral of lemon peel. Tie in the beautiful citrus notes in the vodka. We want to release all those beautiful oils right on top of the drink. Oh. And there you have the Cosmopolitan, destined to become a classic. To master the sweet and sour balance is to come to peace with the zen of mixology. Be it whiskey, gin, or in this case, Pisco, balance is a key to a great sour. Now, the Pisco Sour, all roads lead to a guy by the name of Victor Morris. He was an American bartender working in Lima, Peru in 1915 when he substituted Peruvian Pisco for whiskey in a sour. And, hey, a classic was born. Now, to make a Pisco Sour, the first thing we need to do is add some egg white. And you want to add a little egg white because that's going to emulsify with the lime juice to give us that nice, rich, creamy head. Speaking of lime juice, you got to pick out the right lime. Make sure that the lime is soft and pliable, has a great green color. We want to roll it just a little bit to loosen up the membrane. And always store your limes at room temperature because cold fruit is stingy with the juice. Clip the nibs, cut it straight down the middle, and with our lime squeezer, we're gonna squeeze that right into the glass. Oh, I can smell those beautiful oils being released from the skin. When I use lime juice, I like to balance that with simple syrup. And the reason they call it simple syrup is simply because it's so simple to make. You just want to dissolve equal parts sugar in water, and you've got a beautiful syrup for any cocktail that calls for sugar. And simple syrup just blends better, dissolves better than granulated sugar. So here we have an equal part of simple syrup. And finally comes our Pisco. Now, Pisco is unaged Peruvian brandy that is made primarily from Moscato grapes. It's got a slightly fruity, sweet, floral nose that tastes of ripe grapes, melons, and tropical fruits. Now we're gonna use our Boston shaker to prepare the drink. So we fill that up with ice, transfer the drink into the shaker. Now remember, we have egg white in here, so we really wanna rock it up. Oh. Shake it to maybe a salsa. Get that egg white all emulsified so we get that nice, rich, creamy head floating on top of the glass. Oh, that's gonna be wonderful. And speaking of the glass, I've got this beautiful champagne saucer, which is gonna be a perfect vessel for this wonderful drink. Oh, how gorgeous is that? And the final step is a couple dashes of Angostura bitters floating on top. There you have the classic Pisco Sour. The old-fashioned. The old-fashioned is all about bourbon. And bourbon is the quintessential American spirit. As a matter of fact, to be called bourbon whiskey, it must be produced in the United States. It must be made from a mash of at least 51% corn, malted barley, and then either rye, which lends a spicy note to the whiskey, or wheat, which is a touch sweeter. We're gonna start off with 2 sugar cubes. To this, we're going to add Angostura bitters. Now, the bitters are gonna add another layer of complexity, a spicy note. To this, we add a slice of orange and a maraschino cherry. And what we wanna do is remove the stem, because once crushed, the stem would become bitter. And then just a touch of water. All right. We take our trusty muddler to bring all those flavors together. We wanna release the oil from the rind. We want to get the juice from the orange. We want to dissolve the sugar, get it all, acquainted. All right, that's looking really good. Now, to this, we're going to add some cube ice. And you want a pretty good sized cube because you don't want it to melt too fast. You get kind of warm sitting out on the porch. All right, 1 more cube. Looks good. And our bourbon whiskey. A good healthy 2 ounces. Use our bar spoon. You always want to use sterling silver when you're making an old fashioned. Beautiful. Now I'm going to use the essence of lemon. We're just going to release those oils. We just want to get those beautiful, crisp, bright citrus notes. Oh, it smells so good. Garnish it with a fresh piece of orange, a maraschino cherry. You're ready to share some Southern hospitality with friends and family when they stop over. Here's another cocktail whose history is a little cloudy at best. I really believe that this seductive, romantic tipple was created in Manhattan because it truly is a city cocktail. Now, the best story is that of the election of Samuel Tilton and a party that was thrown by Lady Churchill, Winston's mother, at the Manhattan Club. Legend has it that an unknown bartender mixed the drink and they named it after the club, and hence the Manhattan. Now, to make a Manhattan, we want to fill our beaker up with cube ice. Remember, this is a spirit-only drink, so we're going to chill it by stirring. Also, we want to make it really swanky and elegant and silky. So the first thing we want to do is add our Angostura bitters. Now, what Angostura bitters does is it gives us another layer of flavor, a touch of spiciness to the drink. Now we want to add our sweet vermouth. Now, sweet vermouth, we want 1 ounce to 2 ounces of bourbon. If we were to use dry vermouth, it would be a dry Manhattan. And if we use equal parts sweet and dry, it would be a perfect Manhattan. Beautiful. Now we want to chill that by stirring. You notice how I moved the bar spoon from the bottom of the glass up to the top, getting as much contact between the ice and the whiskey as possible. While we're stirring this, we really should be playing some Sinatra. Strained into a chilled cocktail glass. Garnished with a maraschino cherry. Now there's a cocktail that's as swanky as the city it's named for. This section is called Creating Your Own Specialty Cocktail. Now, that might sound a little intimidating, but once you understand the anatomy of a cocktail, it becomes a lot easier. That being the base spirit, the modifying spirit, and the accents, such as lemon juice and Angostura bitters. So the drink that I'm gonna make for you now is called a cable car, and it's probably my best known specialty drink. I created it in 1996 when I was at the Starlight Room in San Francisco, and our tag phrase was between the stars and the cable cars, too catchy to resist. But what I did is I started with the base spirit. I taste and evaluate the base spirit, which in this case is spiced rum. And then I add flavors that complement the base spirit: vanilla, clove, coriander, cinnamon, to give us that balance, that complexity, and hopefully a delicious tasting cocktail. Now, the first thing we want to do is prepare our garnish. And what we're going to do is we're going to make orange spirals. You just want to get an orange that has a pretty nice rind to it, and we're going to use this wonderful little tool that, if you notice, follows the concave of the fruit. Insert it into the pith. The pith is the white part of the fruit. Just let the tool do the work. So you notice I'm holding this tool steady and just rotating the fruit. Get about halfway through, I can feel that it's let go, and I flip the orange and do the same thing on the other side until I can feel the tool make its way completely around the orange. And if we've done this correctly, we should be able to remove the fruit, and we're left with this beautiful spiral, which we roll up, stick with a pick. You can prepare these in advance, store them in the refrigerator. When your guests show up, you just slice off some beautiful spirals, you're ready to go. Now, for the cable car, we have to do a special preparation to the glass. It's called frosting. The first thing we do is we chill our cocktail glass. Cocktail glass, not martini glass. I mean, yes, it houses martinis, but it houses cocktails. Always want to serve it chilled drink in a chilled glass. I've got some ice and a little bit of water in there. Put them in the freezer if you have time. Look at how beautiful. Now, to frost the glass, a little fresh lemon juice. We're gonna tie in the spices that are in the rum with the rim of the glass. So I rim it with some fresh lemon and just roll it in a mixture of superfine sugar and ground cinnamon. Now, you always want to use superfine sugar because superfine sugar will adhere better to the glass. All right, it's time to build our drink. We're gonna shake this, and we're gonna build it in the Boston shaker. And it's the one piece of bar equipment you must stock your home bar with. We make the drink in the 16-ounce mixing glass, and the first thing we're gonna add is some pasteurized egg white. Why egg white? Well, egg white is gonna work with the acidity in the lemon juice to give us that rich, frothy, creamy head. And speaking of lemon juice, we're gonna use what I refer to as a fresh lemon sour. Real easy to make. 2 parts fresh squeezed filtered lemon juice to 1 part simple syrup. Simple syrup, it's simple. Equal parts sugar and water. Blends better. We just add our simple syrup to our fresh lemon, and we have our fresh lemon sour. And we're gonna add 1.5 ounces of our fresh lemon sour. The modifying spirit in this case is Marie Bizard Orange Curacao to bring in that rich orange flavor that's gonna go so wonderfully with the spiced rum. And a little tip, if our base spirit is 1.5 ounces, our modifying spirit is generally half as much, or in this case, 3/4 of an ounce. And again, the base spirit is our spiced rum. To use the Boston shaker, we fill up the mixing tin with a good amount of ice. And we want to use a good size ice cube because we don't want to use that cracked ice that's going to melt and really water down your drink. So fill the shaker about 2/3 full with ice. Now, we transfer the drink from the mixing glass into the mixing tin. With a slight twist on a bit of an angle, we make our seal. And if we've done it correctly, it should never come apart. Now, to shake a shaker, everyone's gonna have their own individual style and technique. But as Harry Craddock said in the Savoy Cocktail Book, we wanna shake the shaker as hard as we can, not rock it to sleep. So with the tin forward on a slight angle so that if it does leak, the drink goes over my shoulder and not in my guest's face. Oh, how beautiful is that? There you go. Perfect. Now, to break the seal, 2 fingers on top, 2 fingers on the tin, and then just boom, with the palm of your other hand, comes right apart. Now, the Boston Shaker set comes with 2 different strainers, and this is called the Hawthorne strainer. You notice it has a spring on it. The Hawthorne strainer works beautifully in the mixing tin, but not so beautifully in the mixing glass. I guarantee you, if you try to pour from the mixing glass with a Hawthorne strainer, you're gonna spill. So now, we're on stage. Time to put a little pizzazz into your pour. I always pour in a bit of a circular motion, starting on the outside of the glass so that we don't splash the drink. And if we've measured properly, it should come up to just the bottom of the cinnamon and sugar. Quick snap of the wrist. We tie in the orange curacao with one of these wonderful orange spirals, release the oils. And there you have your own signature classic cocktail, the cable car. Oh yeah, that'll work. What can I say? The mojito is on fire. Like it's Cuban food, the drink is hot. The drink evolved from a 19th century drink called the Drake. The Drake was a working man's drink. It was made of rum, mint, and sugar. But through the attentions of one Mr. Ernest Hemingway at the bars in Havana, Cuba, the drink gained in popularity and today is one of America's top mixed drinks. Now, at the base of the mojito is rum. And I like to break rum into 3 categories: light-bodied rums, complex rums, and heavier, full-bodied rums. And each rum works differently in different applications. So with the mojito, with the subtle ingredients of the mint and the lime, I'm gonna use a light-bodied rum. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna start with our mint. And I like to use spearmint because spearmint is more aromatic than peppermint. About 12 or 14 mint leaves go in. The next thing is lime juice. And we want to make sure that we hand extract that lime juice right into the drink. So pick out a lime that is nice and soft, has a good green color, and it's going to give us a lot of juice. So we'll put the juice of 1 lime, which is going to yield approximately 1 ounce. And if you remember what we talked about balance, we need to balance that lime juice with simple syrup, made simply by mixing equal parts water and sugar, allowing the sugar to dissolve. So 1 ounce of our syrup. And then comes the muddling. And again, here you don't want to tear up the mint. You know, just, I like to say, massage the mint. Just release the oils from the mint into the syrup and the lime juice. Oh, coming together. All right, now, and I always taste it. My mom always said, Tony, never trust a skinny chef. You gotta taste everything. This would be the point where if you needed to,
we could adjust the sweetness. So we're gonna add just a little bit more simple syrup. And one final twist. Ah, delicious. Next comes the ice, and this is where so many people make a mistake with the ice. You should always use crushed ice, not cubed ice. What you want to do is you want to get yourself one of these Lewis bags. It's a canvas bag used for crushing ice, different grades of ice, crushed, cracked, frappe, depending on the style of drink. Put a cubed ice in. Oh. So if you're having a bad day, not only is it a restorative, refreshing drink, it's also stress relief. Okay, that should do it. Now, you can't have too much ice. We want to load up our glass with crushed ice. Oh, beautiful. Add our light-bodied rum to complement the other ingredients. Beautiful. And now we stir, because we want to get all that beautiful lime and mint flavor from the bottom, bring it up to the top, let it mingle with the rum. Get acquainted, so to speak. Next comes just a spritz of soda, just to bring the drink up a little bit. Nice. Sprig of mint for a garnish. Powdered sugar. There you have the classic mojito. And if that wasn't enough, I got one of my original cocktails for you. It's a variation on the classic. It's called the Wild Berry Mojito. And we start off the same way we started with our regular mojito, with about 12 or 14 spearmint leaves. We're gonna add to that again our hand-extracted juice of one whole lime. By hand extracting the lime juice, not only do we get the freshest juice possible, but we also release those beautiful oils from the rind. Oh, perfect. 1 ounce of simple syrup to balance our lime juice. And now we throw in the wild berries. A couple of blackberries, 4 or 5 of these beautiful red raspberries, some blueberries, but by all means, you could feel free to mix it up and use any fresh seasonal fruits. Blood oranges in the winter, kumquats, tangerines, they all make wonderful variations on this classic. And again, we just want to crush and macerate those berries, release the oil from the mint. Oh, that's going to be beautiful. Perfect. Got our crushed ice all ready for us here. Nice. It's going to be a beautiful, beautiful drink. Again, our light-bodied rum. Quick stir with the bar spoon. Again, with just a quick spritz of soda. A couple of these blackberries for garnish. A sprig of mint. More powdered sugar. And there you have my Wild Berry Mojito. Now it's time to fire up the barbecue, put on a Cuban spice rub pork tenderloin, and enjoy either a classic mojito or try my Wild Berry. It's going to be great. The martini, the king of cocktails, the cocktail that all other cocktails aspire to, and a cocktail that is probably shrouded in more mystery over its origins than any other. Was it first mixed by a bartender in Martinez, California? Or perhaps it was mixed by the legendary bartender, Professor Jerry Thomas, for a traveler on his way to Martinez, California? Or maybe it was named for a bartender named Martini who first made the drink in 1911 at the Knickerbocker Hotel in New York City. Hey, we may never know who made the first martini, but whoever it was, thank God they did. Because if there was ever a drink that has defined a nation, it's the perfect dry martini. And the dry martini is a gin-based cocktail. And before we can understand the martini, we need to have a little information about gin itself. I break gin down into two categories, masculine and feminine. Now, it has nothing to do with alcoholic proof or strength. It simply refers to the way the producer blends their botanicals. Masculine being very strong in the lead botanical juniper and coriander, where a feminine style gin is much more approachable, softer, more citrus notes. They're all great in a martini, and the only way to find out for sure which one works best for you is to give them a try. Now, the other big debate surrounding the martini is the preparation of the drink itself. Should it be shaken or stirred? Well, I have a rule. If the drink contains spirit only, I chill it by stirring. If it contains citrus juice or cream, eggs, purees, I always shake it, with one exception, and that's the martini. I shake my martinis. I think that it gets the drink colder quicker with just the right amount of dilution, although I've never been known to turn down a well-stirred martini. So, let's make a couple martinis, and you'll decide. So the first thing you're gonna need is a great beaker, or you can use the mixing glass of your Boston shaker. We fill that up with 2/3 of the way with ice, and I'm gonna make my martini in a cobbler or three-piece shaker with the built-in strainer. Again, we're going to add the ice to the body of the shaker. And I don't care how dry you like to drink your martinis, a martini must contain vermouth. So I do what is known as seasoning the ice. We're pouring our dry vermouth over the ice, and in the case of our stirred martini, releasing all those beautiful aromatics of the herbs in the vermouth. I might convert to a stirred martini yet. And then we're going to strain off the excess. And there, we're ready to go. Now with our shaken martini, we just shake quickly. We're gonna do the same thing, and this is a beautiful sterling silver antique cobbler shaker. Makes a great addition to your home bar. Next comes the gin. Ah, that's gonna be lovely. And I've got my chilled cocktail glasses. Remember, the martini is a cocktail. It's served in a cocktail glass. Ah. Strained into our chilled cocktail glass. Another thing that I like to do when entertaining is I like to have some fun with the garnishes. I like to take the pimentos out of Spanish olives and I stuff them with anchovies. We've got blue cheese, sun-dried tomatoes, mix a little roasted garlic here with some breadcrumbs or some almonds. And now for my martini. And you want to shake it, like Nick Charles said in The Thin Man, to a waltz. All right. Oh, look at how beautiful that is. Look at those beautiful ice shards floating on top. Now, for our stirred martini, a blue cheese stuffed olive. And I like a freshly cut zest of lemon on my martini. Oh, look at how I can smell those beautiful oils. And there you have it. Shaken or stirred, the perfect dry martini. as the sun goes down on another beautiful day that can only mean one thing, fiesta time. And what's a fiesta without a great margarita? But before I show you how to make one, I want to tell you the story surrounding the origin of this drink. Or should I say, one of the stories surrounding the origin of this drink. It dates back to 1948 and a woman by the name of Margarita Sams. As the story goes, Margaret is entertaining at her Acapulco villa, and she mixed together two of her favorite spirits, tequila and Cointreau, added some fresh lime juice, served it in a champagne glass that had been dusted with salt. Not having a name, they simply called it the drink, until her husband had her name engraved in two crystal glasses, and hence the margarita was born. It's a cute story, but the truth of the matter is the margarita is all about tequila. The key is showcasing the tequila. Everything else is there to complement it. You always want to look for 100% agave tequila. 100% agave is the best tequila in the world, and it should go in as the main player in your margarita. You don't want to use an artificial imitation sweet and sour mix to mask the flavor of a beautiful tequila. So we're going to make everything fresh. The first thing we want to do is we want to hand extract the juice of one lime right into our shaker. And I like to shake my margaritas. Oh. Now, I like to use lemon and lime, so I'm gonna make a fresh lemon sour. Using a citrus juice press, we just wanna extract fresh lemon juice, and I mix that with 2 parts lemon to 1 part of our simple syrup. And there you have fresh lemon sour. So we're gonna add 2 ounces of our fresh lemon sour. And now our modifying spirit. Remember our formula. If our base spirit is 1.5 ounces, our modifying spirit is half as much, or 3/4 of an ounce. And in this case, we're gonna make it like Margarita did and use Cointreau. Cointreau is a French liqueur, and it's flavored with Haitian bitter and sweet orange peels. And it's a really wonderful modifier in a lot of classic cocktails. And finally, our silver tequila. Beautiful. Add some ice, some fresh ice in our margarita glasses, because remember, we don't want to serve the drink over the same ice that we mix the drink. Into our shaker. Ah, yeah, want to shake it to something by Jimmy Buffett. All right. And strain that out. Now, we're gonna mix it up a little bit just for fun and use an añejo tequila. I'm gonna show you how to use the European barman shaker. Now, this is not a real common shaker, but I wanted to show you how to use it nonetheless. We're gonna make an añejo tequila with Grand Marnier. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna squeeze the juice of 1 lime. And you notice that we put the ingredients in the lid of the European shaker. Next, our fresh lemon sour. So you notice I'm using the same formula for my margarita. What's gonna change the flavor profile is the fact that I'm gonna use Grand Marnier as a modifier. Grand Marnier is another wonderful French liqueur flavored with orange peels, but it also brings in the richness of cognac. And our formula, 3/4 of an ounce of Grand Marnier, 1.5 ounces, in this case, of an añejo tequila. I don't like to salt the rims on my margarita glasses. The ice goes into our shaker. Drink. And, where are the mariachis? And finally, we strain that into our ice-filled margarita glass. There you have two great expressions of the wonderful margarita. Let's mix it up with my favorite cocktail, the Negroni. Now, the Negroni was created in the 1920s in Florence, Italy. It was named after a guy by the name of Count Negroni. He used to drink Americanos in and around the cafes and bars of Florence, Italy. He wanted to get a little more kick out of his Americano, which was a simple long drink of sweet vermouth and Campari with soda, so he had the barman add gin to it. He became so well known for ordering that drink that, heck, they just named it after him. And I'm sure glad they did. Now, I like to stir the Negroni. Remember our rule, it's spirit only. So the first thing we're gonna do is add our gin. And this is where we have to understand the gin category, because we have either masculine-style gins, which are very forward in juniper and coriander, or feminine-style gins that are softer, lighter, and more citrusy. It's gonna have an effect on the overall flavor of our Negroni. Next, we're adding our sweet vermouth. Now, vermouth is an aromatized wine, which is a wonderful aperitif all on its own. Served on the rocks with a slice of lemon, it's delicious. And then our Campari. Campari is probably the best-known aperitivo in the world. Campari is made from a maceration of herbs and spices and barks that is then mixed with alcohol, diluted with water, sweetened with sugar, and then colored with carmine. It's just absolutely fabulous. But they do say even the Italians need to try Campari 3 times before they develop a liking for it. Now we're gonna stir that. Like my cousin Helen David taught me, we wanna stir Negroni 20 times to the right and 20 times to the left. We have our cocktail glass well chilled. Strained into our beautiful chilled crystal cocktail glass. Ah. I'm getting hungry just looking at this. Now comes the fun part, the garnish. One thing you'll learn about Campari, Campari loves orange. Orange is Campari's soulmate. What we want to do is we want to cut a disc about the size of a 50-cent piece from a navel orange. A navel orange that has a really thick, porous skin. And we're going to enhance those oils by burning them over the glass. So over a lit match, we're just going to squeeze real quickly and expel those beautiful oils. And there you have the classic Negroni. Pair that with some beautiful antipasta, it's a perfect way to end the day. This next classic is called the Rob Roy. It was created by a bartender at the Waldorf Hotel in New York City in 1894. It was created to kick off the opening of a new opera called, you got it, Rob Roy. Now, I like to drink my Rob Roys on the rocks, and I'm gonna show you a technique that's called building a drink. To build a drink, we're actually going to make the drink in the glass that we're gonna serve the drink in. The first thing you need to do is pick out the right glass. I've got a nice heavy-duty double old-fashioned glass. And make sure you get some nice big ice cubes. This is a drink that should be savored. 3 cubes is more than enough. Next comes the bitters. Now, a lot of times people will think bitters are bitters are bitters, but actually there's a difference. Peychaud bitters are much more subtle, fruity and floral. Some might even say a touch of sweetness, where Angostura is more robust, spicy, notes of clove and orange. For my Rob Roy, I'm gonna use Peychaud, but you should try it both ways and see what you like. Next comes vermouth, and in my world, we're gonna refer to this as perfect. When we refer to perfect, making a Manhattan or a Rob Roy, we're talking about the use of vermouth. In this case, a perfect Rob Roy would be equal parts dry vermouth and sweet vermouth. And finally, our blended Scotch whiskey. Now, I like to use blended Scotch whiskey because it's a little more approachable, it's softer, it's more mixable for cocktails than its more robust single malt cousins. And as the name applies, blended Scotch whiskey means that it's a blend of different single malts married with Nutri-Grain whiskeys. All right, now we're just gonna give it a little stir to get all those flavors cozy in the glass. Ah. And finally, we need to prepare the garnish. And for a perfect Rob Roy, I like to use the freshly cut spiral of lemon. Now, you should get one of these. This is a citrus stripper. And you want to cut your spirals fresh because you want to capture not only the appearance of the beautiful lemon spiral in the drink, but the beautiful flavor. Oh, look at those oils. Ah, it's wonderful. And we want to twist it right over the drink because what we're after are those beautiful, beautiful citrus oils. Oh, I can just smell that. Drop that in. Quick swizzle. Now, I like to pair my Rob Roys with a bar mix, something a little salty, and this is where you can have some fun and mix it up. I made my own with some smokehouse almonds, some pistachios, some pretzel sticks, and some of these wonderful sesame crackers. Oh yeah, over 100 years old and still a classic. The next time you want to turn your party into a true celebration, think about serving champagne cocktails. A sexy, elegant champagne cocktail is a surefire way to elevate your soiree to the next level. And I got 3 simple ones for you today. The first one is called the Kir Royale. And at the base of that, we have cassis. Now, the best creme de cassis in the world comes from France, either the Bordeaux or the Dijon region, and it's made from black currants. To this, we're gonna add just a little zest and oil of lemon. The second drink is one of my originals. It's actually a twist on a classic champagne cocktail. I call it, quite fittingly, a champagne celebration. We put a raw sugar cube in the bottom of a glass and saturate it with Peychaud bitters. Next, we garnish it with a spiral of orange that we're gonna run from the top to the bottom. Nice. And finally, we have a Kir Imperial. And for our Kir Imperial, we're gonna use Chambord. Chambord is made from black raspberries. Oh, and we have a fresh blackberry sitting on top. Now, we're also gonna add to my champagne celebration equal parts of Grand Marnier and cognac. We're gonna top these up with champagne. Now, for those of you who are not real handy opening champagne, we'll have a quick lesson. Always want to keep your thumb over the cage and the cork while you undo the wire. With a linen towel, hold the cork and twist the bottle. Now, we don't want to hear a pop, even though that is very festive, but it allows a lot of the bubbles to get away from us. There you go. And then we
top up our champagne cocktails. Little hint for you, make sure your champagne is ice cold. Oh, look at how beautiful that is. Well, if that isn't a celebration in a glass, I don't know what is. I'm Tony Abuganim, and I want to thank you for joining me on this journey into mixology. I truly hope that the inspiration for your next great cocktail was found in Mix It Up, making great cocktails at home. Cheers.